So I looked for a video on how to swap the way the door swings in this GE drive. I couldn't find one. They do give you directions in the manual on page 30, applicable to all these models here. But the video is always much better to have, so I'm gonna make one for that. Please heed the warnings about unplugging the power. You probably need to pull your unit forward to get to the high voltage wire. Be careful when you pull it. Make sure you're wearing shoes, rubber shoes. When you pull, make sure you don't stretch the hose or the exhaust pipes too much. You are going to need a certain set of tools. This T25 Torx. You can buy it anywhere in a hardware store. They're very cheap. You need a 1/4 inch driver. It could be in the form of a screwdriver like that, or it could be in a socket. And then a Phillips driver. I'm going to use my power drill just because there's a lot of screws to do and it's easier to do it that way. The first step is pretty easy. Just use your T25 Torx driver and just remove the striker plate right here. And then your 1/4 inch driver you can do to remove this too. The thing is, you need someone to hold the door. I kind of improvise here and just use the laundry basket. And then I have some towels on top to be able to set the door, because we're going to need to remove each of these screws here, the Phillips one. So I'm just going to use the top of the driver to work on it. So I have removed the striker plate. You can see it's just the 2 screws holding it there. And then also the door on this side. Notice that it's got some slits over here, and that's because the door kind of hinges on that. It's got a couple of hooks, so you may have to wiggle it up and down to get it to come out. And this is what it looks on that side. So you just wiggle it up and down, and it'll come off really easily. The next piece is just take your Phillips, and there are 14 screws here that you need to remove. Make sure that you don't damage the seal, but you just remove each of those 14 screws all along. And that's just going to get us to remove this inner frame. So this is what it looks like after the cover has been removed. Note that I just left the glass. There's no reason to take it out because we're just going to be swapping these 2 pieces. I just left it in place. One less thing to worry about breaking. Okay, so here comes the important part. This is the hinge side, and this is what they call the handle. And each of them comes out of the recess there. And we're going to have to take them out, rotate them 180 degrees, and put them in the opposite side, each of them, right? So just pay attention to the order. Removing it may be a little tough, you're going to have to wiggle here and just pull up. Maybe use this to make it come up, right? You can see that it kind of gets seated into that recess there, so it's a little pressure. You just pull it up. So remember the position that you're in, because you're going to want to rotate it this way, right? So it's coming from this position. You're going to rotate it and put it in here. Okay. This piece was a little bit more difficult to take out. So what I did is I removed the latch for a second, right? And then I use my fingers in here to try to wiggle it up, just so I had a place to hold, and now it comes up. I didn't want to forget which direction it went. You can't, because actually there's a hole here for the screw, but I put it right back in there. It's just temporary. So once you have that out, remember, you take it, bring it to this side, and you rotate it, and you plop it back in there. So at this point, I have moved the door handle to the opposite side, rotated it. It's in its place. Notice the groove here is all lined up. I did the same thing for the hinge. Rotated it and placed it in this pocket. You see the grooves all line up. It may seem to be a little sticking up, but I think that's the way it's supposed to look. And now we're just going to take the cover, put it back up, align the holes. There's 14 screws that you need to put back. When you put the screws back, always start in opposite corners. So if you put a screw here, then do the next one on this side. If you put one on this side, then do one on that side, so that it all tightens even. So don't do it all on one side. Just alternate, one screw on one side, one screw on the other. The next thing I did here was just to put the striker plate in the opposite side. It used to be on that side, and now I moved it to this side. I'm going to now pick up the door. Remember, it's got the hooks over here, so I'm just going to make sure that I can hook it in to this slits right here. And because I don't have anyone to help me hold the door, I'm just gonna use this basket that kind of fits right underneath it. Now, once you got that in there, there's only 2 screws that have to go in. So just put those 2 screws there. Alright, so I now tighten the 2 1/4-inch screws there. Remember to not drive one of them all the way in, just do it in stages, half here, half there, and then at the end you can tighten and test the door. Make sure that it closes right and it latches. It's latching there pretty good. I already moved it back and connected the power, so I'm just going to do a quick test now. Just make sure that it still works. Yeah, so that tells you that the sensor switch that is up here is making good contact. It should stop when we open. You're verifying that everything's good. See, door is open, it detected that. And now I got the dryer next to the washer and I can just move one load to the other side. I hope this video is very helpful.